Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. It really means a lot to me. This is back by popular demand. The last one I did, it's scary, guys. I didn't even plan to do it this close to the 10-year anniversary. But my one, two, three, four, five, six, seventh most popular video of all time, people keep asking me, hey, can you make an update? And it's how to prepare for my clinical research assistant job interview. I kid you not, today's June 5th, 2025. That one, I just seeing it now, June 8th, 2015. So right on 10-year anniversary, the 2025 and beyond version. Help me prepare for my clinical research assistant job interview. Now, what is a clinical research assistant? It's an entry level role, all right? And I'm talking about clinical research assistant at the site level because you may see this title thrown around a lot. Um, Maybe CROs use them still, maybe sponsors. I'm talking just at the site level, whether it's small private sites, large private sites, small public sites, large public sites, research sites, the place where patients are seen by the research staff for the purposes of clinical research studies. So a research assistant is usually the person that works generally on the hierarchy of the org chart, right underneath the study coordinators. And it's a great entry point into this vast world of clinical research. And it's somewhat analogous, although not exactly, but it's somewhat analogous to like a medical assistant and how they could work their way up vis-a-vis education and experience and things like that to RNs, nurse practitioners, even doctors sometimes. Now, in research, experience matters more than education, but there are minimum educational thresholds needed to get to the majority of ceilings in this space. Like the first ceiling is really from a research assistant, it's a clinical research coordinator. You still don't necessarily need a bachelor's degree, although in the 2025 world, employers are being a lot pickier. But I run a small site still, and we're in the process of building a site network. Half of our coordinators have bachelors, and the other half don't. And so it's not a requirement at all sites. It is a requirement at many and increasingly so in the United States. I know internationally they are actually stricter when it comes to education. But if this is the United States, you can start out as a clinical research assistant with no prior experience, and I'm going to show you how to excel at your job interview for the clinical research assistant role. Now, just I wanted to preface this with there are roles you can climb up to. CRC is the first one, clinical research coordinator. But beyond that, there are things like if you want to stay at the site level, lead clinical research coordinator, site director, quality assurance, patient recruitment. There's a regulatory at the site. Now, if you want to go outside of the site and graduate further into CRO world or the sponsor world, those places generally do require at least a bachelor's degree. So if you're someone that's considering clinical research assistant and you have a job interview coming up, this video is going to assume that it's at a site, a research site. Again, where the research studies are conducted and where the patients actually come. Now, research assistant helps the study coordinator. They do things like help with the vital signs, help with processing labs, help with packaging and shipping labs, help with, if you have the appropriate medical background, phlebotomy. And if not, you can be trained on those things. They also help on the other things, filing documents, whether they're electronic or on paper binders, filing documents, organizing some of the smaller tasks when it comes to source or regulatory. They could also be utilized to do patient recruitment or a lot of pre-screening. At my site, we don't necessarily have a research assistant role. We have what's called an admin role, which is an administrator, but it's effectively the same thing as a research assistant. We look for people that have potential to graduate to be a coordinator. But in the admin role at my site, besides all the things I mentioned, they also help with pre-screening patients and scheduling patients, and then working with the coordinators on filling out the calendars for study visits for new patients. Because once a patient is already randomized in a trial, the coordinators basically take over from that point. Really, once the patient is screened in a clinical trial, the coordinators take over in regards to scheduling. But the admins have a very crucial role. The research assistants, very crucial role, and they essentially do the overflow work that the coordinators are either too busy to do, which is generally the case, or maybe don't want to do, like pre-screening patients all the time. It does get kind of annoying if you're doing that over and over again, or more mundane things like data entry. So if you have a source document and you have what's called the electronic data capture system, the EDC system, that the sponsors make sure that the sites are entering data from the source into the uniform EDC system that all the sites use. These are simple things like what date was this visit, and you'll look on the source document and you'll see what date the visit was, and you'll put that date in the EDC in the field. So you're basically doing data entry. It's very simple. You don't need training for those things. So what are they looking for during your interview? There's very little training needed for some of these tasks like data entry. I mean, you could do it on your first day without really getting much instruction. You're going to have to get trained on the EDC system and the site SOPs. But what they're really looking for is somebody who has the initiative to want to grow further with the company because nobody hires a research assistant to keep them in that role indefinitely. And nobody would want to be a clinical research assistant role indefinitely. It is an entry level job, meaning you eventually want bigger and better things for yourself. So they want to see some initiative. They want to see people that learn quickly because besides the very mundane and simple and repetitive tasks that clinical research assistants do, the opportunity comes on almost every study that you're going to be involved in to do more. And maybe the coordinator's a little extra busy and they say, hey, help me out beyond your typical duties on this study. I have another patient going on at the same time, another patient visit. I need you to kind of walk through the visit while I can catch up and come back. You're now doing a study coordinator role, which, as long as you're on the delegation of authorities log at the site, which you will be, you can do. You can do many of the tasks that a coordinator can do, provided you get the proper training, which you will, because no site is going to put you on the delegation log and not have you do training. So that that you hear it all the time. It sounds like a cliche, but attention to detail and initiative to go beyond what is expected of you. And what they really want to see is this person going to like research because there's a lot about this industry that does get repetitive, that does get kind of mundane, but it still needs to get done. It's like in football, the blocking and tackling. These are the fundamentals. File the documents in the right places in the regulatory binders. You will learn what those things are. If not, go watch my 5-hour video. And that should prepare you for the interview as well. Get the book, The Comprehensive Guide to Clinical Research. I have it right here. And if you get it on Kindle, it's $3.99. And you can get the Kindle app for any device. $3.99 for that book, and just learn the coordinator role because you're essentially a junior study coordinator, and the employer is hoping to get you in their site up and running so that you can be a study coordinator. And then if not, maybe you're just a very good assistant or a very good admin. But what they're really looking for is replenishing the coordinator, the pipeline at the site for study coordinators, because there is some turnover when it comes to coordinators. They end up just like you are looking to level up your career from clinical research assistant to clinical research coordinators. Coordinators are also looking to level up their careers. So you need a constant replenishment of the human resources. And that's what the sites really want. They're not going to tell you that, but they want to see some ambition. And then you can even find local community sites in your area and go approach them and tell them that you want to be an assistant and work there, and you're happy to help with the vitals, the blood draws, the lab preparations, the data entry. Obviously, if you're someone like a medical assistant or a CNA or a phlebotomist, it's a perfect entry point for you, a pharmacy technician. It's a perfect entry point for you because you have immediate transferable skills. So for MAs, the obvious vitals, maybe drawing blood, maybe giving injections, doing ECGs. For pharmacy technicians, you have transferable skills in the sense that you understand what medications are and how they counteract and how to document dosages properly and how to look for adverse events and things like that. So they're really looking for the foundation of a coordinator within 6 to 12 months at most sites. At my site, it's even quicker. It's like 3 months. If a person that I hired as an admin really shows promise, we're gonna fast track them to be a coordinator and get them right up in, and that comes with a huge bump in your pay. So, clinical research assistant, I wouldn't even bother talking about the salary. Like when they ask you, just say, you know what? Whatever you pay for a clinical research assistant, I want to do it because I want to eventually become a study coordinator. I'm very interested in this space. The sites will love to hear that. And you got to show initiative, you got to show enthusiasm. You can't just go to the interview and sit there and not show any emotion. And when you leave, the people that interviewed you have to ask each other, do you think this person will like research? That should not be a question coming out of the interviewer's mouth after you leave. And you want to stay away from cliches when they ask you questions like, why do you want to do research? If it's to help people or something like that. I mean, everybody wants to do that. You need something specific, and it's okay if you have some less altruistic reasons. Like, hey, I think this is a very good career. I've done some research on the industry. I've read some books. I've watched some videos on YouTube, and I really see myself as a good fit here. I think it's fascinating clinical research, how we're on the forefront of new therapies and treatments. Those are the things they want to hear. If they ask you and you say, well, you know, um, I don't really know. It's just I like to help people. That's kind of vague. They kind of hear that all the time. So you want to stand out. You want to be different. When you leave, you don't want any questions inside the job interviewer's head. And they might ask you things like, how do you deal with other people? And how did you give me an example of a conflict from your previous role? And how did you overcome it? And they want to see EQ, which is emotional intelligence. They want to see interpersonal skills. Are you able to handle conflict well? Are you able to handle responsibilities well? And are you able to go above and beyond what is your job responsibilities? And do you want to go above and beyond your job responsibilities? So I would say enthusiasm is number one most important thing because the last thing these sites want to do is bring somebody on that they think will be a coordinator in 6 months and they get them working on the most boring stuff initially at the clinic and then you're gonna quit because you're gonna say, well, this is not what I thought it would be. You want to let them know, I understand this is an entry level role. I understand some of the tasks might be more on the mundane side, and I want to put in my work and I want to build on my fundamentals so that I can eventually develop a skill set to be a clinical research coordinator and ultimately a solid clinical research professional and contribute to this industry. That's what they want. That's the answer to how to do a stellar clinical research job interview. They're not going to ask you very many questions about research because they know that you probably don't know much about it. But if you have done your homework, which, hi guys and gals that are watching this video, I know you have, just go watch some of my other videos, my 5 hour one, and let them know. I already know what phase one, phase two, phase three trials are. I already know what a monitor is. I already know what double blind, what investigational product. I already know what EDC and what data entry is. I already know the importance of patient recruitment and patient retention. I already know a lot of things. I know Alcoa-C. I know what Kappa plans are. There's no way you're not getting this job, okay? So if you don't know what those things are, go dig deep on some of my YouTube channel on my YouTube channel. Welcome to Guru Nation. I want to interview you in the very near future as a success story. Good luck.